Does the seeker need a master? The image of the Guru is far from shining. This word has become synonymous with charlatanism and sexual scandals. It must be said that abuses have not been lacking over the past few decades. In fact, they have always existed. I believe that power corrupts, plain and simple. When a master holds power, temptations are never far away. It is a law of human nature, and few humans transcend it, especially those who claim to. But does that mean we must abandon the ideal of the master? I've had many gurus in my life. Some tried to manipulate me, but most were upright people. And in that regard, I must mention Mark Ditchkovsky, who has just left us and who was a wonderful teacher. What is difficult is reconciling the head and the heart. When we let ourselves be charmed, we become blind. And yet, the heart is vital. Without emotion, we do not move, nothing changes. How can we balance emotion and clarity? Not easy. It is a bit like romantic relationships. Living with both the left and right brain engaged is an art we do not master. It must be learned. Hence, the importance of a spirituality that affirms the complementarity of knowledge and love. I believe it is possible if, from the outset, you are conditioned to believe that intellect is bad and that one must surrender blindly, disaster is not far off. Above all, we must recognize that there are multiple models of the master. Beside the supreme avatar and the cult of personality, of which we must be wary, there are other possible models: the friend, the guide, the advisor, the mentor, the coach, the elder, the brother, the teacher, the instructor, the example, the discussion partner, the master craftsman, the expert. But you may ask, what then becomes of the noble ideal of unconditional surrender, of losing oneself completely in the master? One master I met told me, in our lineage, every disciple loses herself in her master, and that is beautiful. In my view, this ideal is good, provided it is not directed toward the person of the master, but toward the master living within ourselves. As soon as we focus on a physical person, projection occurs, and the door opens to all manner of abuse. For instance, if one gives oneself entirely to Krishna, that is fine. However, if one places blind trust in a person claiming to be Krishna or some avatar of love, then one must remain clear-headed, even at the cost of temporary frustration, especially since true love lives deep within us. Projecting the divine that we carry within onto a person is powerful and therefore tempting, but it is playing with fire. I have met so many people who claimed they could play without getting burned. Yet, nearly all of them were wounded and disappointed. Psychological projections inherited from childhood and our ancestors are forces beyond our control. There is no shortage of examples of this. Generation after generation, seekers learn this the hard way. When a person has charisma, influence, for one reason or another, it is very, very difficult not to become dependent, and the promises of freedom at the end of the tunnel of obedience are often mere traps for the naive. It is like love. One must know how to open the heart while maintaining sense. There is the love at first sight, but also the deep affinities that matter. In truth, what we seek is within us. It surpasses us, but it is within, hidden in our sensations, our emotions, our thoughts. There, at the center, at the heart, at the source, finding the master is responding to the call, remembering, smara, and thus awakening the divine longing, smara as well, within us. Abhinavagupta, the most famous master of Tantra, says, well, do we need a master? Is there any fault if we don't go to see a master? He advises to go from master to master like a bee looking for nectar of flowers. And also he says, if there is a good, skillful master near at hand, then it would be a fault not to go and meet her. But if there is none, or if there are only charlatans, then there is no fault. You can even learn from a book. For in the Kali tradition, the tradition of the goddess, of the yoginis, like in the Tantra Devi Panchashataka, it is said that the goddess is there inside, teaching directly, teaching beyond any intermediaries. The goddess as the supreme teacher who grants direct realization. And in the Kramasadbhava, another Tantra of the tradition, she is called Satyabhava, the embodiment of both truth and pure being. So, the master is really inside. The seeker needs a master, yes, but who's the seeker? The goddess. Who's the master? The God. And they are not separate. And that is Tantra. That is the relationship between the goddess and the God, between the answer and the question, the seeker and the master, between consciousness and being. The master is the seeker's truth, his being. To find it is to find oneself, to awaken to that within us greater than us. Then, in this timeless remembrance, smara in Sanskrit, there is finally the revelation of union, yoga, always already accomplished, but concealed, hidden by false belief. So what we need is not so much as an external master, but rather to turn within 180 degrees back and to ourselves. That's all we really need.